A 52-year-old married congressman had an affair with a 24-year-old female intern in his office. Before disappearing, she said she would expose a major secret, and vanished the next day. The congressman evaded capture for 8 years, passing 2 lie detector tests, yet his reputation was ruined. 8 years later, the real culprit was apprehended, and the killer turned out to be someone else entirely. So what was he desperately hiding all those years ago? Chandra Levy was a recent graduate intern, and Gary Condit was a married congressman. Their chance encounter led them to a tragic end together. Chandra was born in 1977 into an ordinary working-class family in California. Her parents were honest and hardworking. She studied diligently and was admitted to the University of Southern California's Department of Public Administration, a source of pride for her family. In October 2000, at the age of 23, she received an internship with the Federal Bureau of Prisons and moved to Washington, D.C., to work. Upon arriving in Washington, D.C., she had no family or friends, and life was difficult. The internship was haphazard and poorly paid, and she had to cover rent and living expenses herself, leaving her feeling lonely. Chandra was outgoing, and everyone at work enjoyed her company, but she lacked security. From a young age, she had been attracted to mature and stable men, even telling friends that she liked the reliable type like Harrison Ford. This laid the groundwork for her later affair with Condit. Gary Condit was 29 years older than Chandra and a successful Democratic congressman from California. He had married at 18, had children, and became California's youngest mayor at 26. Elected to the House of Representatives in 1989, he was re-elected and launched related organizations. Everyone thought he had a bright future. To outsiders, he appeared stable and family-oriented, frequently mentioning his family in public. However, he was dissatisfied with his mundane marriage and craved excitement and novelty. Chandra's appearance perfectly suited his needs. In the fall of 2000, Chandra was delivering documents to the House of Representatives for work when she happened to meet Condit. Upon seeing the young and pretty woman, Condit approached her and even showed her around his workplace. Chandra, unaware of his true identity, only found him mature and refined, much like her ideal type. Condit's attentiveness warmed her heart, especially since she was alone in Washington, and she gradually lowered her guard. Initially, their relationship was that of a normal superior subordinate and friend. Condit would offer her guidance at work, occasionally inviting her to meals or chats. Chandra would confide in him about her loneliness and confusion, treating him as a reliable elder. However, this relationship quickly soured. Condit used his position and experience to constantly curry favor with Chandra, giving her small gifts and making flirtatious remarks, gradually testing her limits. Chandra, already insecure and feeling lonely, despite knowing Condit was married and that the relationship was taboo, couldn't control herself and fell in love. Their affair remained a secret. Condit repeatedly told Chandra to keep it a secret and not tell anyone. They met 2 or 3 times a week, mostly at Condit's private apartment in Washington, D.C. His family lived in California, making it their secret meeting place. Condit also promised Chandra that once his political career was more stable, he would divorce his wife and be with her openly. Chandra believed him and even told her friends about this secret, completely unaware of the danger. In April 2001, Chandra celebrated her 24th birthday and finished her internship, planning to return to California in May. At this point, her relationship with Condit began to falter, and she started to doubt the sincerity of his promises. Even more troubling, she suspected she was pregnant with Condit's child. Panicked and helpless, she left a message on the phone for her aunt in California, saying she had something important to tell her, but before she could explain, she disappeared. On April 30, 2001, she left her apartment and entered Lock Creek Park in Washington, D.C., and was never heard from again. On April 30, 2001, Chandra Levy did not go to work for the Federal Bureau of Prisons. Her colleagues called her several times, but she didn't answer. By the afternoon, her colleagues noticed her workstation was empty and there were unfinished documents on her desk. Realizing something was wrong, they immediately contacted her family, but they couldn't find her either. On May 6, Chandra's parents traveled from California to Washington, D.C., searching everywhere their daughter might have gone, but to no avail. They finally reported her missing to the police. After receiving the report, the police immediately launched an investigation, reviewing Chandra's travel records and discovering that her last known location was Lock Creek Park, after which she disappeared without a trace. The police reviewed surveillance footage from the park area, which showed Chandra entering the park on the afternoon of April 30th and never leaving again. They searched every corner of the park and questioned residents in the surrounding area, but still couldn't find Chandra. Chandra's parents were extremely anxious, inquiring everywhere about their daughter and even offering a reward for information, but ultimately found nothing. After Chandra's disappearance, Condit quickly learned of it. He knew something was wrong with Chandra, but he didn't tell anyone or contact the police, secretly monitoring the case's progress. He calculated that once Chandra was found, their affair would be exposed, and his hard-earned political image would be completely ruined. Days passed, and the police searched wider and wider, from parks to streets, supermarkets, and residential areas, searching repeatedly, but still finding no trace of Chandra. The media also took notice, reporting wildly, exposing Chandra and Condit's affair, and even publishing intimate photos of the two. Chandra was thus labeled a mistress, and even before being found, she was already being condemned by public opinion. Just when the police and Chandra's family were about to despair, residents reported seeing a silver sedan frequently parked in a secluded corner near Lock Creek Park, with a suspicious-looking man inside constantly staring in the direction of the park. Following this lead, the police located the owner of the car, but he claimed he was just passing by and had no idea where Chandra was. Finding no evidence, the police had to let him go. During this time, Chandra's family kept calling her, but no one answered. They didn't know that Chandra had remained forever in the park she frequented, never to answer their calls again. This seemingly accidental disappearance actually concealed an unexpected tragedy, but at the time, no one realized the danger that was about to unfold. The police didn't give up the search, expanding the search area and checking every possible location, but still found nothing. Until a month later, residents found an unidentified female body in the woods of Lock Creek Park. Police took it for identification and confirmed it was Chandra Levy, who had been missing for several days. This news shocked everyone. Chandra's parents were devastated. They had never imagined their daughter would leave this world in such a way. Condit also completely ruined his political career because of this incident. Once a respected member of parliament, he was now the subject of everyone's gossip. But no one knew that the real killer was still lurking in the shadows, watching everything unfold without a trace of remorse, believing he had acted flawlessly. He didn't realize that his impulsive killing had not only taken the life of a young girl but also altered the lives of two people, and that this tragedy caused by a forbidden love was far from over. The danger in Lock Creek Park didn't disappear after Chandra's disappearance. In May 2001, the spring scenery was the same as in previous years, but no one knew that a deadly murder was lurking within the park. Ingmar Guandique, a Salvadoran immigrant and a repeat offender, had previously attacked women in this park multiple times, his attacks ruthless and unscrupulous. The story begins on the afternoon of April 30, 2001. That day, Chandra entered Lock Creek Park. No one knows exactly why she went there. Perhaps she wanted to clear her head, perhaps she wanted to escape the city's hustle and bustle, or perhaps she wanted to settle things with Condit. But she didn't expect that once she stepped in, she would never come out again. Lock Creek Park is relatively secluded, usually deserted, and densely wooded, providing the killer with an opportunity. Guandique saw Chandra walking alone in the park and immediately conceived a wicked plan. He crept up behind Chandra, blocking her path, his eyes filled with malice. Chandra panicked and turned to run, but Guandique grabbed her. Guandique brutally assaulted her. No one witnessed the act, but it was extremely cruel. Finally, he killed Chandra in a fatal manner, hid her body in a secluded spot in the park, and quietly left the scene. Guandique was cautious after committing the crime, leaving few traces. He cleaned the scene, taking away anything that might reveal his identity, as if he had never been there. But he overlooked one crucial point: his own DNA would ultimately be the key to solving the case. He had left biological traces when attacking other women, and those traces had been collected by the police and stored in a DNA database. Chandra's body remained hidden in the park for a long time, undiscovered. Until May 22, 2002, a man walking his dog in the park accidentally found a skull. He immediately called the police, who arrived at the scene and launched a full search, eventually finding some of Chandra's remains. Forensic examination confirmed the remains were those of Chandra Levy. The examination revealed that Chandra had been violently murdered, with obvious injuries, and the time of death was estimated to be between April and May 2001. This news shocked the entire United States. Chandra's family was devastated. They had finally found their daughter, but could no longer see or speak to her. The media's relentless pursuit of the case further complicated Condit's situation. His political career was completely ruined, forcing him to retire from politics and support himself by selling ice cream. The case made no progress. Police investigated for many years but failed to find conclusive evidence to identify the killer. Guandique had previously been charged with assaulting a woman, but lacked sufficient evidence to secure a conviction. The case became a cold case, the truth hidden for 8 years. No one knew if the killer was still lurking in the shadows during those 8 years, nor when Chandra's innocence would be cleared. This murder in Lock Creek Park not only claimed Chandra's young life but also shattered a family and buried a deep truth. For years, the police never gave up the investigation, and Chandra's family always hoped for justice. But no one expected that this hope would take so long to be fulfilled. This once seemingly peaceful park has been etched with a bloody shadow because of this murder, becoming a place many are unwilling to mention. The Chandra case remained unsolved for 8 years. During those 8 years, Guandique lived a quiet life, committing no further serious crimes. Occasionally, the police would question him, but due to a lack of conclusive evidence, he was never convicted. He believed he could escape legal punishment indefinitely, that Chandra's body would never be found, and that the murder would remain buried forever. During those 8 years, Condit's name slowly faded from public attention, and people gradually forgot about the cold case, and also forgot about Chandra, the intern who died in Lock Creek Park. Everyone thought the case would remain a mystery forever. But advancements in DNA technology shattered this tranquility. In 2009, the police reopened the investigation into the Chandra case, comparing DNA samples from Chandra's remains with male DNA samples in the database, and finally found a match: Ingmar Guandique. The police immediately arrested Guandique and subsequently interrogated him. Initially, Guandique vehemently denied killing Chandra, insisting he had nothing to do with it. However, the irrefutable DNA evidence rendered his lies baseless. Further police investigation revealed that Guandique had been seen multiple times in Lock Creek Park before and after Chandra's disappearance. He had ample time and a clear motive. Combined with the DNA evidence, all clues pointed to him, proving he was the killer. In the interrogation room, faced with overwhelming evidence, Guandique's defenses crumbled, and he finally confessed to murdering Chandra. He confessed that he saw Chandra walking alone in the park that day, and on a whim, he stopped her, assaulted her, and killed her. He also admitted to having previously attacked women in the park multiple times, and Chandra was just one of his victims. The truth shocked the entire United States. After 8 years, this cold case finally had a resolution. Condit also shed the stigma he had carried for years. Although he was never formally charged, the case had ruined his reputation, preventing him from ever returning to the political arena and forcing him to withdraw completely from politics. Chandra's family finally received justice and could finally find solace for their daughter. For 8 years, they had never given up searching for the truth, enduring immense suffering, and now they finally had an explanation. In 2009, prosecutors formally charged Guandique with first-degree murder, and the case entered trial. At the trial, the prosecution presented all the crucial evidence, including a DNA comparison report between Chandra's remains and Guandique's, witness testimonies, the crime scene investigation report from Lock Creek Park, and records of Guandique's previous assaults on other women. Every piece of evidence clearly proved that Guandique was the true murderer of Chandra. In court, Guandique still pleaded not guilty, repeatedly claiming he was innocent, saying the DNA evidence was flawed, and denying that he had been to the crime scene. His defense was futile. The prosecution presented a complete chain of evidence, logically sound and irrefutable. The jurors and judge present clearly saw his crime. During the trial, the police and prosecution presented the details of the case, reconstructing the entire murder that occurred on the afternoon of April 30, 2001, in Lock Creek Park. Guandique's motive and the process of the crime were clearly presented in court. Faced with overwhelming evidence, Wandik's defenses became increasingly weak, and his expression gradually changed from initially defiant to flustered, losing all his previous confidence. After multiple rounds of trials and deliberations, the court, based on the facts of the case and all the evidence, finally sentenced Ingmar Gwandik to life imprisonment without parole. This verdict ended the 8-year-long cold case, gave the Chandra family a satisfactory explanation, and ensured the murderer received the punishment he deserved. 8 years of waiting finally brought justice. Chandra's innocence was finally proven, and Gwandik paid the price for his cruelty with a lifetime of imprisonment. Lockerwick Park, once shrouded in blood, finally saw a return to peace. Years of persistent police efforts, coupled with advancements in DNA technology, ultimately brought the true culprit to justice, ensuring that justice was served. Although the tragedy has occurred and Chandra's life cannot be brought back, this belated justice allows the deceased to rest in peace, brings solace to the living, and teaches people that no crime can escape the law, and that the truth will eventually come to light, no matter how long it takes. The case of Chandra Levy is a classic example of death due to infidelity. It took the life of this young girl and ruined a politician's career. Feeling lonely in a foreign land, Chandra became dependent on the married Condit, falling into an extramarital affair. She thought she could find support, but was ultimately murdered. Before her disappearance, the media exposed the relationship, leading to public condemnation and public scorn. Condit's tragedy stemmed from his selfishness and cowardice. Knowing he had a wife, he still had an affair with the intern Chandra. After Chandra's disappearance, he attempted to cover up the truth and evade responsibility, ultimately ruining his political career and paying the price for this extramarital affair. The murderer Gwandik's crimes exposed loopholes in public safety. Lock Creek Park, a place for citizens to relax, became his crime scene. His methods were cruel and disregarded life, ultimately resulting in severe legal punishment. This case also prompted reflection on intimate relationship violence and political ethics. Infidelity not only destroys families but can also incite violent crime and even claim lives. Politicians must also uphold ethical boundaries and not use their power to harm others. In 2009, the case was finally solved, justice delayed for 8 years. During those 8 years, Chandra's family suffered immensely, Condit was vilified, and Gwandik spent the rest of his life in prison. Fortunately, the truth came to light, the perpetrator was brought to justice, and Chandra was able to rest in peace. Chandra's story serves as a reminder to everyone to be clear-headed in relationships and avoid getting involved in inappropriate affairs, to be vigilant in life and pay attention to personal safety. The price of infidelity is high, it can ruin a life and take a life. Today, Lock Creek Park remains bustling, but it also holds the tragedy of Chandra and the price of infidelity, reminding people that justice may be delayed, but it will never be absent. This concludes the entire process of this case. If you'd like to learn about other crimes of passion, please follow us. We will continue to bring you new content.